Bill 168 would prohibit people under 18 from getting a marriage license in Texas. It closes a loophole the bill's author, Democratic Representative John Rosenthal, says allows 16 or 17-year-olds emancipated from their families to get married.
We free all the girls who feel like they're trapped in these marriages now and provide an avenue for them to get out if they chose.
Republican Representative Daniel Alders of Tyler voted against the bill, saying he wanted to see at least a 5-year age gap included in the legislation.
The true perpetrators are often people who are middle-aged and they're taking these 17, or teenagers, and they have these child brides and they're trafficking them.
Alders hopes the bill reduces human trafficking if it becomes law.
I think this is overall potentially good legislation that will address a serious problem in the state of Texas. There may be a handful of exceptions that get caught up in the midst of it.
Over 41,000 minors got married in Texas from 2000 to 2019. 77% of those were girls married to adult men. Those statistics are according to the nonprofit Unchained at Last, whose founder, Frady Reese, supports House Bill 168.
The thing with passing legislation to ban child marriage is that it costs nothing. There's no price tag associated. It harms no one except predators who would prey on girls.
The proposed law is on its way to the Senate after passing the House. Michael Richardson, KLTV 7 News.